My name is Daniel Lockhart. I'm an interdisciplinary artist. I primarily work in drawing and painting. I have a background in theater arts. I trained in acting and singing and slight dancing. So I'm a visual artist right now, but I also like to delve into performance art and things of that nature. I'm doing a lot of music production, and it's not necessarily songs per se. I'm just figuring out the materiality of music and sounds, and so I'm learning production techniques, and that's been new and exciting for me because that's not something I've done ever really. This is the first year I've really done that. I spent most of my time up until recently just painting and drawing because that's all I really knew how to do. But now that I'm learning other things, it's I'm able to communicate my art across a wider audience, which is really exciting and cool. And then you can also communicate things differently. It's a visual isn't going to be the same as a sound, just like a sound is not the same as a visual. I think art is communication, and so I'm always interested in ways to communicate things, whether it be concepts or ideas or feelings or emotions. And so for me, the biggest question is, how do I communicate these ideas with my art? Something I would consider a muse is really myself and my own experiences. I think that probably stems from being a minority, as a queer, non-binary man of color, a black man. There's not a lot of representation, so I never found myself really relating to a lot of the art that was out in the world. And that's not to say that there aren't other artists like me creating work, it's just we don't normally get the platforms that other artists get. Being yourself and sharing yourself with others and being your most authentic self. A lot of my art is self-reflective, and it's I'll either think about an experience that happened to me or things that make me feel a certain way or events that are rather universal but personal to me. And so those are the things I typically work with. On days when I'm uninspired, I give myself the days off. I don't ever wanna, I find when I make art or I'm in the art making process, if I'm not in the headspace to be creating, I'll be able to create, I can make something, but it's not going to be reflective of what I actually want to say or what I'm actually feeling. It's just more so me getting the idea out as opposed to actually communicating the finished product. So I'm really fortunate that for the most part, I can put myself in a good creative art making headspace. Sometimes I'll play music. I make sure I'll take a shower and freshen up and almost prepare myself as if I'm going to work, because it is work. And so it's all about taking the work that you're doing seriously. I think the more serious you take your art, the more committed you are to producing it and finishing it. For me, the painting making process is fairly simple because I mostly use dry paper. I'll use multimedia paper to paint on, but I'm really big on drawing first before I paint or anything. So it normally starts with a graphite sketch. And so that can take anywhere between a few hours to a few days to get a drawing down. I always say that art is never finished, it's abandoned. So you basically, for me, you get your painting to where you feel it's at its best or where you want it to be, and then I kind of just step back and I look at it and I go, this is finished, and then it's finished. Other mediums in addition to painting that I'm working in / delving into are, right now I'm working in music. I'm also working in Chinese ink. I'm in a Chinese landscape painting class through the school, which is really exciting. So I get to work in the traditional techniques and practices that were cultivated and developed in China. So that's really exciting because it's a way of learning that I've never experienced, and you learn so many cool different things when you get an education outside of a perspective that you're familiar with, which I appreciate. But in terms of expanding mediums, that's basically where I'm at right now. My role in the art department is pretty involved. I do work study for the department, so essentially I work in maintaining the studio spaces. Sweeping, mopping, and cleaning is really what that job entails. I have a second portion, or second part of the job is gallery installing. So we have the Hewitt Gallery at the main entrance, and every month and a half or so we'll put on a new exhibition, and the exhibitions will either feature the work of current students or former students, inside professionals, so like professors, faculty and staff that make art, or outside professionals, so outside artists who are working but aren't affiliated with Marymount Manhattan College. And so I think that really has helped me grow in terms of my profession and my art making, because I've been able to be really hands-on in the studio space. I personally really love hanging the art and figuring out what's the best way to hang a piece so that when a person walks into the space, their eye can travel the wall and like every piece makes sense. Every picture or painting or frame or whatever piece of art is hung as level or as balanced as it can be, so that it essentially looks as perfect as the artist intended it to look when they finished creating it.
We passed on by.